Hey everybody, it's Kaylani and welcome back to my book corner. Today we are going to be doing the Nope trope tag, which was started by Zoes All Booked. I will link the video down below. And I thought it was really interesting that she made questions based on tropes that are pretty much disliked amongst the community. So we are going to go ahead and go through that. I have my list of tropes right here, or questions that go with the tropes. So let's just get right into it. So the first trope we have is the eavesdropping with miscommunication trope, which is not my least favorite trope. I don't really mind miscommunication. It does get annoying if it's like repetitive within the book, but if it's like one big miscommunication, I don't really mind it as much as like a bunch of different miscommunications. Anyways, the book that I picked for this, or the prompt, is a book you were told you would love but ended up hating. And actually, the book I have to pick for this is To Have and to Hoax, which is a plethora of miscommunication within it. Like, so much miscommunication between these two characters who were just not adult enough to talk to each other, even though they've been married, I think, for 4 years. And I think it's 5 years. And after the first year, there was one miscommunication and they just stopped talking to each other for 4 years. So To Have and to Hoax is definitely the book that I would choose, that I thought I was going to love. Everyone pitched this in the exact way. It's a second chance romance. I love. It's historical, which isn't necessarily my favorite, but I thought I was going to love it. And I think I gave this 2 stars. Did not enjoy at all. The next trope we have here is a love triangle series where you can't pick your favorite book. And this is definitely the Ghostwalker series for me by Christine Feehan. I have the newest one right here. Lethal Game, right there. Is it upside down? Sure is. Lethal Game by Christine Feehan. And I love every book in this series, and each book can be read on its own. They stand up separately. It is a romance series, so I feel like that probably influences it as well. But each book has its own, obviously, like, set of characters, and I could never pick my favorite characters out of these characters. Like, each book is just like these precious babes, and I love them so much. So this is definitely a series where I would never be able to pick one book because I'm very emotionally connected to the characters. But that is definitely the book series for that trope. And the next trope we have is Not Like Other Girls or Didn't Know I Was Beautiful. A pretty cover, but super boring. And that is definitely This Time Will Be Different, which I was lucky enough to get the Illumicrate version of, so it was even prettier than the regular version. It's got nice sprayed edges. But this book was super long and super boring, to me at least. I liked all of the topics that were talked about in this book because it talks about the Japanese or the Asian internment camps in the US and how we are still fighting for equality from the internment camps and how Asian Americans are dealing with society still. And I thought a lot of the topics were interesting, and it's set, like, the main character is a teenager, and her being able to make her own choices and be able to stand by her choices, I thought was a really good topic. But this book was so boring. Like, I love a good contemporary. Like, I love contemporaries with big topics, but this one to me was just so long and so boring. And I felt like it could have been half the book it was, but that is definitely my opinion. So if any of those things sounded good to you, this might be a book for you. But that is all I have to say about that one. And then the next trope we have is All-Consuming Love. And this is a book that gave you a book hangover. And the book that I think did this the most, or gave me, like, I needed some time to think after I finished this book, was definitely The Henna Wars. And that's by Alka Joshi. And that book was like, it had great topics. It was like about feminism in India in the 60s, and it was beautiful, and I loved so much about it, and I think that everyone should read it if they like that kind of thing, historical fiction set in India, any of that. And it was really great, and it was just like a good feminist power story, and we love that here. So that is definitely one that gave me a hangover. It was also written beautifully because I listened to it audibly, and it was like such a good audible experience, and I loved it. So that is one that definitely gave me a book hangover. The next book, or the next trope, is Douchebag Boyfriend, and that's a book that took you a second to get into, but you ended up loving, and that is definitely Such a Fun Age by Kelly Reid. It's way up there. I was gonna grab it, but it's not that big a deal. I loved this book now, but like reading it was a little hard for me because there's like this group of older women and I just wanted to punch them in the face so many times. So like reading it, I was like angry, but then afterwards I'm like, man, that was a good book because it made me angry. So I definitely think Such a Fun Age by Kelly Reid, it like started out as like, oh, I freaking don't like this, but then it ended on like, this is it. And it was great. It was awkward. It was about a girl who didn't know how to like what was the right thing to do, which is me just all of the time. And it's about amazingness. I don't know. I just highly recommend. 10 out of 10 would recommend, would definitely read again. But that is definitely the Douchebag Boyfriend book that I have read this year. So then the last prompt is just to say like your favorite or least favorite trope, and we're actually going to do both because my favorite trope is not one that I feel like is written often, or if it is written often, it's just not books that I see, and that's the unplanned pregnancy trope, but it has to be done very well, and it has to be like adults, consenting adults, who just like have their lives together and they just make a mistake and they're brought together through this pregnancy, and it doesn't even like, I don't want to go too far, but it doesn't even have to be like a fulfilled pregnancy. So two instances in movies that I can think of is in the movie What to Expect When You're Expecting, where we have the couple who come together because of an unplanned pregnancy, and they kind of make amends for past things, and it doesn't go that smoothly, but in the end they still not necessarily are together, but they are adorable. You know what I mean? And the other one I can think of is Obvious Child, starring Jenny Slate, and it's about a woman who decides that she does not want to have the baby, but it's still an unplanned pregnancy, and the couple still ends up being adorable together. So I just really like that trope, and I've read it a couple times in books, but not enough. And if you have recommendations for unplanned pregnancies, I am here for it. Like adult unplanned pregnancies where it's two mature adults. I don't want any like high school pregnancies, please. But that is definitely my favorite trope. I don't know why. Like I can't tell you why I like that. Maybe because babies make everything better. I don't know. But that is one of my favorite tropes. And then my least favorite trope is definitely like the chosen one. I hate that trope so freaking much. Like, okay, we get it. You're special. You're amazing. You're the chosen one. That's why we're here. We don't need to like keep talking about it. So that is definitely my least favorite trope. But yeah, that is all I have for you today. Let me know what your least favorite trope is in the comments below. And I will see you next time. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Bye!